What's up, guys? Today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to install Mojo Juju mods rapid fire kit install for type B install on a CG2 motherboard here. And first thing you're gonna see when you open up the kit is you can actually see a pink bag holding the mod chip itself and a tactical switch, which I'll get to in a second here. So first thing you see is a business card here. Alright, shows you his email here and his website to check out for installation instructions. Feel free to check those out if I missed anything. Alright, so gotta give him a lot of credit on his packaging as he organized everything here, as a lot of other rapid fire distributors fail to do. And it just saves you more time instead of having to look for the resistors, find out which one's which one. Alright, so you guys can see here the 330 and 10K ohm resistor, the kinar wire, and the solder. Alright, so put that off to the side. And then you can see the seems to be the mod chip and the tactical switch here. Alright, so here's the mod chip. You guys can actually see a little white spot. And that's actually gonna be pin number 1. And I'll show you guys how to use that in a second here. Once we get to the video of how to install it. Once we open up the controller, I'll show you guys what that pin 1 is used for. Alright, so you're obviously gonna need the Xbox 360 controller. This is gonna be on the wireless controller, and it has to be a CG2 motherboard, and I'll show you in a second how to check. You're gonna have to remove your battery pack, and you can see in the bottom left exposed portion of the circuit board, you're gonna see right on top of the left coil here, you're gonna see that little resistor right there. And if it's facing vertically, it's gonna be a CG2. Alright, so CG1 and CG2 are far apart, so I'm pretty sure you can still follow this tutorial. And you're gonna need a torque state security bit screwdriver, and security bit because the screws on the Xbox 360 and wireless controller has a little pin in the middle, and only the security screwdriver can get through those. Also, you're gonna need a soldering iron here. You can buy them at Radio Shack. I suggest a pencil tip, because there will be some points that will be hard to get to, and a pencil tip helps with that. I recommend some tweezers and soldering flux here. You can pick those up at Radio Shack. The tweezers, I bought them on eBay for a couple bucks, like $2. Alright, so you guys can see here on the right there in the middle screw here, there's gonna be a barcode sticker on top of it. You could punch through, or you could just peel it off, doesn't matter. And those other 6 screws. Alright, you're gonna want to put some tape over your buttons. Tape your buttons down so they don't fall out. Makes everything much easier for you. Alright, just gonna skip this. Alright, just gonna remove everything. And the pin number 1 that I was telling you guys about has to go on the bottom left corner, so pin number 1 should be on the bottom left. Alright, make sure that pin number 1 is on the bottom left. Alright, so you're gonna take your 10K ohm resistor here. You don't even have to look for it because it's already labeled. Take your 10K ohm resistor, and you're gonna want to bend hooks on the end of on both sides here. You're gonna want to bend hooks on them, as I already did one side, now to the other. And you're gonna want to cut the sides here. You can use a wire cutter or just some scissors. Scissors will do, as I use right here. So right now you guys can see how much you should cut, not a lot. Alright, so you guys can see right there about how much I cut. And I'm actually gonna apply some flux on the points here, and I'm gonna tend the points. And alright, here's I'm just applying some flux, and then right here I'm gonna start tending the points on the chip itself, so I don't have to later on. So I'm just like preparing it for when I'm ready to install the wires and everything else. So here I'm just gonna show you guys. Alright, just finishing it up. And there. Alright, so you're gonna want to solder the 10K ohm resistor to pin number 1 and pin number 4. That's where the tweezers come in handy. Alright, so I'm just gonna apply some solder here to make sure that the points are on there good. You're gonna want to put the resistor in the inside with the hooks facing outwards to the points. That's what the hooks are for, and makes it easier to work with to apply the other wires to. Alright, so though you're gonna want to solder a little piece. You're gonna want to strip the end of a wire. Here, what I like to do is I like to keep the whole wire intact, and then once I've soldered the first point, then I want to just measure it out and cut it and strip the end, then solder, because I don't want excess wire and I don't want too little wire, so I like to measure my wire out. You're gonna want to solder to the point as shown. You can see me here applying a little bit of solder, as it makes it much easier to solder to. And you don't want to pull the wire out too fast, as the solder may not have became fully solid yet. Alright, here you can see me. Alright, now that's done. Next, you're gonna want to grab your 330 ohm resistor, and you're gonna want to cut off an end, and you're gonna want to grab some of your wire here and strip the end. You're gonna want to strip the end here. Once you're done stripping the end, you're just gonna turn it around here and solder it to it, and you're gonna want to cut the, yeah, I'll show right now. Alright, once you're done with that, you're gonna want to cut the other side and do the same. Solder, strip a piece of wire and solder it to that side. Alright, just cut the resistor, don't cut it too close. Alright, and then you're just gonna cut the piece of wire and then strip it and do it to the other side. Reason why I don't like to solder it to directly to one of the legs of the resistors is because I feel that it may be a little bit too weak, and it's just better. I've always did it this way. You could just solder it directly, it doesn't matter. Alright, so just solder it to pin number 2 here, and you're actually gonna want to solder to the bottom of the 4th player LED. So I'm just measuring it out real quick, and I'm just gonna cut it and strip the end. So you're gonna want to turn your controller around so it's easier to get to, and just solder it. Alright, there you go. Alright, now that you're done with that, you're ready for pin number 3 here. Alright, just tending the tip here. Alright, now that you're done with just gonna tug on it real quick. Alright, that's on there good. You're gonna want to solder it to the middle pin of those 3 pins shown on the left here, as I'll show you guys right now. This is the reason why I like to measure out my wire before I actually cut it, because I like to move it around the button so it won't interfere with the D-pad or any other buttons. Alright, so just solder it to middle pin. Alright, that's on pretty good. Now for pin number 4, this is actually gonna go around the this is actually gonna go in the sync button. You're gonna have to solder it to the middle pin of the sync button. Just gonna measure out my wire here. Give yourself a little extra wire to put it around the back button, so it won't interfere with it. It'll make it hard to press and very annoying. So you see the 3 pins right there. You're gonna want to solder it to the middle pin of this sync button. This is where the pencil tip of your soldering iron comes handy, as that's very small. That's a very small pin there, and can be very tricky to get to. But a thinner tip should be able to get to it just fine. Alright. Alright. That sounded good. Okay, just apply a little bit of solder to it. Make sure the connection is good. You don't want anything disconnecting or breaking the solder, just in case you drop your controller or something like that. That's why you always want to have good connections. Alright, now for pin number 5, you're actually going to want to do the other side of those 3 pins, as I did for pin number 3. You're gonna it's pretty similar. You're gonna want to solder to the third pin, no, to the middle pin of those 3 pins. And I'll show it right now. I'm gonna put my tweezers down. Alright, so to the middle pin here is shown. You might not be able to see one of the pins, as the chip itself is probably covering it. Alright, so now for pin number 6, you're gonna want to remove your motherboard from the back piece of it. I always like to keep the back piece on it, because it just makes it easier, so it won't move around as much. You're gonna want to take it off the back case of it, the back part of the case, and you're gonna have to tuck the wire around the back, as the solder point will be in the back of the motherboard here. I'm showing right now. Just tuck it around. Give yourself some extra wire so you don't interfere with anything here. Right, you can see me. Okay, it's gonna be towards the left trigger here. Alright, so I'm just gonna measure the wire here, and just gonna cut it and strip the end of it. Alright, so the solder point you're gonna want to solder to is gonna be right on top of the TP16 or TP16, if that's what you want to call it, as shown right in here. So it's very easy to solder to. I'm actually gonna apply a little bit of extra solder to make sure that the connection is good. Alright, that's on there. It's on there pretty good. Alright, there you go. You could just place it back on the back piece of your controller shell here, or you could just leave it like that. You can actually see a piece of the wire here. That doesn't affect anything. Alright, so I'm just gonna organize my wires here. Make sure they don't interfere with the D-pad or any other buttons that require a contact pad over it. Alright, that's good. Alright. Now for pin number 7, you're actually gonna need some sort of knife, an X-Acto knife, or as I'm using here is my little Spyderco bug. I love the Spyderco bug. Alright, so you're gonna want to scrape the top portion of the black piece that you see right there until you see a clean piece of copper here. This is gonna be like, you're gonna want to scrape a little bit more towards the top of it, so you won't interfere with the button, the pressing, because it gets very annoying. Trust me, guys. You don't want that. It feels like it's stuck or something. It just gets annoying. Alright, so you're just gonna wanna apply some solder to it. I've actually put some flux on it. Makes it easier. Alright, so just turn your controller around here. Turn it to the side here, make it easier. And just cut a piece off and strip the end of it, as I show right here. Alright, just strip the end of it and just turn the controller around so you guys can get to that solder point much easier. So you're gonna want to solder it to that clean piece of copper that you scraped off on the B button, the top portion of it. That's actually for the drop shot modes or anything related to that. Alright, that sounded good. Alright, now for the last pin, which is pin number 8. Just gonna grab a piece of wire here and just strip the end. I like to tin it. It makes it a little bit easier. Alright, now that that's on there, you're gonna want to solder it to the point here, which is right underneath the bottom point of the D-pad. You can see right there, and just right next to it. You can see it right there. You're gonna want to solder it to that point right there. It's gonna be right next to like some black piece of plastic, kind of. And yeah, so I put it back together, and I'm gonna show you guys how to scroll through the modes here. So all you have to do to turn it on is just tap on the sync button. You don't need to hold it. Just tap on it. You don't want to hold it because or it's gonna start syncing. And if you want to scroll backwards through modes, let's say you skipped it, you want to hold down the left trigger and scroll backwards. Alright, so that's it, guys. You can actually put the mode, you can actually put the rapid fire to sleep, but you're gonna have to time the sync button, which actually you don't want to do in the middle of a game or anything like that, or because it might start syncing and it'll just leave your player vulnerable there. So that's it, guys. Hope you guys like this tutorial. Rate, comment, subscribe here, and as always, hope this video helped you guys. Alright, thanks guys.